But when you're up 5 goals on your rival on a Saturday night, you can do whatever the hell you
can do
please.
whatever you want. You can bring out the Macarena if you wanted to. And again, like I give those people, it wasn't like 1 or 2 full rotations of the wave. They did it like 11 times in a row. Like they had some.
You're up there
power
counting.
there,
You're
so.
like, that's 1, that's 2,
Exactly.
that's 3.
I mean, the game was well in hand at that point, so I'm like, they're keeping this rolling. They might just stay in the bowl of the garden until after the game's over.
And welcome into the Bruins beat on CLNS Media. My name is Evan Marinofsky, and I am joined today by Conor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. I imagine you are stoked this upcoming weekend. BCBU. It's the rivalry renewed. It's going to be a pretty big couple of games. Top 2 teams in the nation. Will you be there at either of those games?
I actually will not be there, unfortunately. Again, it's going to be a great matchup, number 1 versus number 2. I believe the first time ever that's a 1-2, which seems crazy, but you know how the rankings work. There's always the 1 versus 3, 2 versus 3, all those things. So 1 versus 2, going to be a great set of games, both at Aganis and that other kind of crappy place, Connie. But unfortunately, I won't be there. I'm actually going to be in Bermuda this weekend. So,
lucky.
A solid excuse if there ever was one. So I'll be away on Friday and Saturday. Be back Sunday though. Quick little jaunt. So.
Oh wow! So it's a quick just get warm, relax a bit, and then right back on the plane home.
I was going to be too stressed out to be within like a 10-mile epicenter of BUBC. Didn't want to bring any bad luck to the Terriers, so I decided to leave the country. I'm fleeing the country for 2 days. So
you're out of here. You got places to be. That sounds fun. I am envious. I am jealous of that. I tried to book a vacation mid-season that was like warm in a way. And with the schedule, it just really could never work. But kudos to you for finding a time to go do that, because that sounds immaculate. I am jealous. Well, you know what, Connor? It's unfortunate you're going to be gone Friday because New England Hockey Journal, our TV show, runs right before the BCBU game, and it is a preview of its BCBU and how good both teams are. And you won't see my face in it, but you hear my voice in it. So what could be better than that? I guess seeing and hearing me is better than just hearing me, but
yes,
you will hear me. So if you don't get enough of me on these podcasts, you can watch me on TV too. Yeah. So
you know what? The presence is still there. It's like the Allstate guy's voice. Like as soon as I know Evan's talking, we know who's commanding this show.
I think I was sitting in this seat in this room when I voiced over the show too.
Beautiful.
They were like, "You can come in, but you also have a mic at home," and I was like, oh, that's an easy one. We're going to mic this one. So it sounds great. It's a good episode, so you guys should go check it out. But exciting matchup. And also a little bit of bad news. This is being recorded before the game on Monday night. Sorry, it's the way it goes. Last Monday was easy because it was in the afternoon. It's January. We're not going to hop on at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Maybe we should. Maybe we should have. We should jump on. You come home from the garden at like 1. You're tired. You're like, I just want a piece of pizza or something to eat. And you're like, I got to do 30 minutes with Evan again. So
I mean, I would also say that in terms of the workload and the stuff that goes into this, there's a lot of people behind the scenes who work extremely hard putting all these things on social, edit it, get the audio right. Because there's definitely times where we completely fuck these things up. They got to go through and cut it. So it's more than just me and you just recording going boop on YouTube. There's a lot more people behind the scenes that work a lot tougher hours than us that do these. So that's why you're not getting these at 11:45 at night. We're not recording them post game on most situations. A lot that goes into this beyond these two doofuses here on the mic. So
I agree. That is probably the primary reason is I'm not putting that on them. And the other thing is during the playoffs, my guess is we'll do the live post game.
We'll do some quick. We'll do quick hitters. Yeah, exactly. There's time and place, guys. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly, and there's also a lot we do. Like Poke the Bear will be out Tuesday or late Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it's gonna be out, and it'll have that game. And I mean, there people who follow the YouTube channel, the Bruins Rinkside YouTube channel. There's a million podcasts throughout the week, so everything gets covered at some point. But the big thing to me was Saturday. even as bad as Montreal is, thumping them like that, just taking their face and shoving it in the mud. I know they're not a great team and they're rebuilding, but it is still so satisfying when that happens. 9-4. It actually looked close going into the third period. That was the best part. I was like, this is going to be a wild third period. It's going to be back and forth. Can Linus Ullmark stand up? And the Bruins just said, we're not even going to need a goalie in this period. We're just going to completely go full throttle. And I think the best story...
All right, Red Sox.
Yeah, right. Poor winter weekend. It didn't get the coverage it deserved. Yeah, crazy, right? But Danton Heinen, I think to me, he was the story of that game. He's been maybe one of the best feel-good stories of this team this year in terms of, every guy obviously has their own story. And so, Patra's been a cool story. But to me, Heinen takes the cake. He gets a hat trick against Montreal on Saturday night. You were there in the building. The place seemed like it was jumping. At one point, I'm like, what are those people doing? They're doing the wave. And I'll say it, Connor, I don't like the wave. But when you're up 5 goals on your rival on a Saturday night, you can do whatever the hell you
do
please.
Whatever you want. You can bring out the Macarena if you wanted to. And again, I give those people, it wasn't like 1 or 2 full rotations of the wave. They did it like 11 times in a row. They had some.
You're up there counting. You're like, that's 1. That's 2.
Exactly.
That's 3.
The game was well in hand at that point. So I'm like, they're keeping this rolling. They might just stay in the bowl of the garden until after the game's over. It might be midnight. I'm recording a podcast late at night. These guys are still doing the wave. Who knows?
Have you seen the guy on TikTok who his goal is to stay in stadiums as long as humanly possible until he gets kicked out? Have you seen that dude?
No. It seems like a very fulfilling objective.
It's an interesting one, but he has a whole big following on it. And sometimes it'll be like Wrigley Field or like the Rose Bowl. And now security guards just recognize him, and they'll just be like, "Dude, we love you, but you got to get out of here." It's like an hour and a half after the game. Yeah. So that made me think of that. But I agree. To me, the way that Heinen has just fit in with this group. I mean, he wasn't signed at the beginning of the year. I've said it before, he was kind of like that kid on JV who hung around the varsity hoping to make the team, makes the team, has a valuable role. I think he's going to continue to have a valuable role. I mean, he was on the 4th line technically Saturday night, but we'll get to the lines in a bit because I want to touch on that a little. But Heinen as a story in general, I think has just been really, really good and a good value add by the Bruins.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think you look at that game, right, on a night where you have 16 different guys getting a point, which is absolutely insane.
Poor Forbert and
Patra.
Who's the other one? Patra didn't have it's time to send him back to Guelph.
If only on that second goal from Heinen, which was a snipe. If only he did a little like back and forth pass with Patra because he's on the rush with him. Only a quick little move there maybe would have change things around. But no,
is Danton Heinen selfish? I mean, I think we have to ask that question.
People are bringing up that question, Evan. I think, as you said, it's very easy to think root for a guy like Heinen considering the year he's had, right? I mean, didn't have the best season with Pittsburgh last year, but again, you look at like what his floor as a player is in terms of his versatility, really kind of makes costly plays in the D zone. Like, he's not flashy at all, but you kind of know what to expect as a plug and play, 4th line guy, 3rd line guy. So the fact that he went the entire offseason without one contract, has to settle on a PTO, has to, go through weeks of preseason and training camp, kind of just fighting for a spot, going over guys like, Alex Chiasson, who would sign to a PTO like 2 weeks before Heinen too. It's not like Heinen was the first guy. I forgot about
they had Chiasson. That seems like forever ago.
And I think they signed Heinen like right before camp anyway. So like it wasn't like it was the first signing. Like, all right, Heinen's still out there. We'll grab him first. It's like, all right, we got Chiasson. Oh shit, Danton's out there. Yeah, let's grab him too. See how he is. So the fact he does that, still doesn't have a contract at the end of plays himself into a spot, doesn't get a contract till 8 games into the regular season, right? And just stays the course. And it's been great for what his role is, especially when you factor in that money. Like, I think, especially that first tenure with the Bruins, Heinen had his share of detractors. I don't know whether it's, he's maybe stop and start in terms of offensively. You're looking for more from him. He's maybe not a prototypical Bruin in that he doesn't beat the shit out of guys or anything like that. But I think there's not any Bruins fans who have, qualms with this contract and how he's played, right? You look at the fact he's making 7.75, his versatility, he can go up in the lineup. It's on the fourth line, third line. Again, rarely makes a boneheaded play in the D zone that leads to an odd man rush or a quality scoring chance against. Like, for what that value is and what he's provided all across this, lineup that is completely overhauled when you look at it this season, he's been huge for this team. And in a season where you've had so many guys step up and exceed expectations, especially in conjunction to what their contract is, the JVRs, even Geekies, the, Shattenkirks on the blue line, what have you. Heinen, for what he's provided, has been immense for this team. And as you said, like, I don't know if he's going to be having a lot of hat tricks, but he's still, even when he's not like scoring, goals or contributing offensively, he's really been like a net negative out there whenever, in whatever role he's been in. And there's a lot of value to what he provides as that kind of Swiss Army knife on this team.
Yeah, I think the issue with that contract at first was, the Bruins are going back to, Heinen, who's kind of, didn't fully work out here. You're traded away. You're not getting someone new, or you're not playing one of the kids. But I remember, what the Bruins brought in last year. We've talked about this a number of times. They were the Moneyball Bruins, and you had a lot of veteran signings like Patrick Brown and James Van Riemsdyk. You weren't fully sure how they were going to materialize, and you had young guys like Beecher and Lohrei, and you had Merkulov and Patra in the mix, and you weren't sure how they were going to fully fare. And Heinen, from the Bruins' perspective, was, here's a guy they know. They developed. You have an idea what you're going to get with a guy like him. And I think his return on investment's been higher than what you thought you would get. I thought Heinen was going to be kind of a guy who was in and out of the lineup, who would be okay, but to expect what he was 3 years ago as a consistent top 9 winger was a little much. But he's really been that. I mean, and again, I think the Swiss Army knife element to it is correct. Because he has a big impact on this team in a big area that was underutilized for a long portion of this year. Before we hit on that, a quick word from our friends over at FanDuel.
The NFL season is wrapping up, but there is still time to get on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, find bets in the new Explore tab, pick a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
So, Heinen, interesting case, obviously. And he was on the fourth line on Saturday night. He was down there with Jesper Boquist, Matt Patra, and himself. Johnny Beecher and Mason Lohrei were sent down on Saturday. And, a lot of people are going, Montgomery won't play the kids anymore. This is ridiculous. And Beecher, I thought, was okay up here for what you needed. Like, Lohrei still has a little bit of development to do. Now you have Forbert back. Wotherspoon wasn't going to clear waivers. So you have issues there. Let him develop in Providence for a bit. See if guys like Forbert and Grzelcyk can kind of stay on this team as the trade deadline looms. But keeping it up front, though, with like Boquist, who has really stepped in and kind of taken Beecher's job in recent weeks. I think what him and a guy like Heinen provide is sort of that somewhat veteran presence in that bottom six, where because you have Patra, right? You've got Jakub Lauko, who's still kicking around down there, Lord of the Rings master, and you need guys you can rely on down there. And I think like Jim Montgomery is going to play that fourth line more when he relies on those guys and he can trust them a little bit and not having it just be kind of an all kid line. And I like the idea of playing the kids, I do, but you're getting to the end of January here. You're going into the last 2 months of the season. There's a playoff push. Then the playoffs come around. I don't know if it's super sustainable to have what they had for the past couple, for a little bit of time there, where it was Lauko, Beecher, Steen on that fourth line, and they were getting underutilized. Heinen, we mentioned this before, Heinen provides kind of that veteran presence down there that allows Montgomery to trust him a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it's also one of those things where even if you're more inclined to play the kids right, every NHL coach, unless you're a team that's really rebuilding, like the San Jose Sharks, what have you, that are taking the long look, trying to win games, and especially if you're a team like the Bruins, it's not like they're a wild card team that you're trying to get the best of both worlds of developing the young talent while trying to stay remain competitive. Bruins still first in the East. They're still right in the mix with the for the President's Trophy. And again, you can say whatever you want about the President's Trophy cars. Like the Bruins are playing really high quality hockey right now, and Jim Montgomery wants them to keep on building that that positive game. It's probably the best stretch of the season they've had in terms of kind of everything firing off on all cylinders. So I think you want to keep that kind of current constitution in place. And as you said, like Lohrei, I think you go send him down to Providence, have him play 20 plus minutes a night, get power play reps. He had that goal in their last game, which was really impressive. And I think that's what you want to see, right? Like, for how talented Lohrei is, especially offensively, have him play those minutes, get confident in his game. I don't think, I'm sure you saw the move he had, that overtime winner. I don't think you can do that in the NHL. Like we do that little.
You can't? Really?
Move. Yeah. If you did it against Montreal, like Michael Pizzato would just roundhouse kick him in the face or just cross check the shit out of his back, So, but going down to Providence, having him build his game, as you said, a bit of a tough break for Beecher because I think he has been solid for what his role is, really good on faceoffs, but he also scores a goal in that same game as Lohrei. So, I think especially in Beecher's case, the fact that he's exempt from waivers plays into that as opposed to a guy like Steen or Boquist or Lauko or anyone else that you really don't want to get plucked off the waiver wire, at least at this stage of the season. But as you said, if you're Jim Montgomery, you're trying to win games right now. I can see, trying to satisfy all parties at the same time where you're still fielding a veteran group up here. You're still accumulating points, but sending guys like Beecher down there where he's maybe in a top 6 role, Lohrei in a top pairing role, have them kind of continue to work on their game while still, getting the experience they need down there in Providence. I think that's kind of more or less their approach, but I do think that the waiver wire, and especially in Beecher's case, did kind of factor into how they approach this kind of latest roster reshuffle.
100%. I mean, you look at the lineup they trotted out Saturday night. Marchand, Coyle, Pasternak is the top line. I mean, that looked outstanding the other night. Yeah. Van Riemsdyk, Zacha, DeBrusk. DeBrusk has been playing a lot better of late. He seems to be finding his confidence and producing because of it. Lauko, Geekie, Frederick, and then Boquist, Patra, Heinen. That's weirdly deep. I know that there isn't the star power you maybe want in there, after that first line. But again, Van Riemsdyk's done his job. DeBrusk seems to be kind of hitting his stride, as I mentioned. The bottom 6 there, I mean, Geekie and Frederick work well together. And then, you have Boquist and Heinen kind of not sheltering Patra, but as 2 veteran-ish presences with them. To me, that's sort of more emblematic of a playoff lineup where, I know obviously nobody wants Patra on the 4th line. He's not a 4th-line player. But if your 4th line, if you want it to be used and have a little bit of, skill to it, he does bring that where, I still think you probably need or would like to go out and maybe add another wing if that's possible at the deadline. I know you and Ty talked about that last week, but that lineup isn't bad. I'm not saying it. I thought it was bad, but for a while there, they looked like a team that was, very much heavy on their top 3 lines. And now, I mean, with the lineup they rolled out Saturday, I'm fine with that 4th line playing 12, 13 minutes, maybe even a little bit more. So I think it's emblematic that they're a little deeper than we thought. And Montgomery's been a little bit better at kind of divvying up that talent. He must be eating HelloFresh. That must be what it is.
It's got to be it.
He's on the HelloFresh grind. That has to be it. So quick word from our friends over at HelloFresh. Quick break in the action to tell you about our delicious friends over at HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. A crazy schedule can make it easy to fall back into your dinner time recipe rut. But keep mealtime exciting with over 40 recipes to choose from every week. There's always something delicious to discover with HelloFresh. Turn to HelloFresh Market. for yummy add-ons and enjoy the season's limited time fall flavors lineup. It's that time of year, right? Things get you in the mood, like apple cider cake with caramel sauce. All the ingredients come fresh, from the crushed tomatoes to the Italian chicken sausage mix to the Parmesan cheese. It's delicious, and I feel like a chef when I'm doing it. What's better than that? And this is a busy time of year for me with hockey starting up. I don't always have a ton of time, so this recipe makes it quick to enjoy something amazing. So join in on the fun. Go to HelloFresh.com/50Bruins and use code 50Bruins for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/50Bruins and use code 50Bruins for 50% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Now, back to the show. So the Bruins get 9 goals on Saturday, and if people haven't been paying attention, the offense has been a lot better. How much better has it been? Well, Scott McLaughlin, I got this from Scott, so I got to give him credit. I didn't look this up myself. This was in a story. Bruins are at 4.46 goals per game since Christmas, which is the highest number in the NHL. Now, people remember pre-Christmas, pre-holiday break, things were not looking so hot. The offense was drying up. They weren't getting scoring from a lot of different areas, and things since then have been basically the complete opposite. Why do you think the Bruins have been so good offensively over these last bunch of weeks?
I mean, I think a lot of it is just simplifying their game and doing the simple things. I feel like every time, as is the case every season when teams go through offensive ruts, what usually solves it. Yes, you can look at the guys who are the offensive zone cheat codes, like Pastrnak getting hot and what have you. Like those are the outliers, right? When those guys can just out of the blue just get your offense rolling there. But I think you look, especially in that game against Montreal, a lot of it's just bringing guys to the front of the net. They're getting a lot of grade A chances, and it's kind of what you saw last year with the Bruins, right? Like maybe they're not peppering the net at the same rate they were when they had, Bruce Cassidy and his approach in the offensive zone. But some of it might be an indictment on Montreal and how shitty their defense is. But
that defense is not good. That defense wasn't great.
A lot of those plays, though, were guys cycling the puck, bringing the puck down low, moving it around and having guys planted at the net front. Like you look at the Coyle goal was like a signature Coyle play there where he drags the puck. He's got, I think it was like Jordan Harris. He had a few other guys like trying to just follow the leader there. Marchand's waiting at the net front. Zacha's waiting at the net front when DeBrusk has that really, really good feed on his goal as well to get him rolling. So a lot of the stuff, again, it's never reinventing the wheel with this team, right? You can try different combinations, but a lot of their chances, whether it's, guys driving to the net, defensemen knowing when to activate, like offensive dynamo, Brendan Carlo gets a goal there from activating there. I think with this team, it's not like you need to keep on switching the lines to find the right combination. It's guys just playing the right way and making things happen there. And I think that's been the biggest contribution. You go look at maybe a player or two in a different role that has changed things around. Like I think Lauka has points in back-to-back games on the third line. That's a guy that seemed like he was in kind of this weird limbo for a while. His confidence was down. Put him on the third line, get him rolling for a little bit, a few more minutes, and he's produced there. So I think for the Bruins, it's not any one like an outlier or one player going an absolute heater or anything like that. It's just playing the smart, simplified hockey that this team has shown it can do in the past. And it kind of goes back to that game against the Rangers way back when, where they lost 7-4, and Coyle was like, we have the talent to finish these plays, but like we can't have Pastrnak be the one guy waiting there. We have to have guys waiting at the net front and have, wear teams down, hold on to the puck, possess the puck, win puck battles on the forecheck. And then when we have that talent in place to finish off those plays, makes it a lot easier. We can't just be one and done off the rush, and you really haven't seen it all that much unless it's offensive dynamo Danton Heinen with that shot on the rush. But look at a lot of those goals against Montreal. A lot kind of more or less followed the same script there, which is a pretty good formula for, I think, consistent offensive production over the course of a full year.
Yeah, and I think it's shown that time has been the best thing for them in the sense that as time has worn on with guys in new roles, and you have new guys like James Van Riemsdyk and Patra in there and Geeky, and then you have guys, as I mentioned, in new roles like Coyle and Zacha. It takes time to get an offense down and to start generating goals in positions you really haven't been in past years. And I think Montgomery's talked about this all year, and I know he talked about it Saturday night again, is like, it's a lot of winning puck battles down low. It's a lot of, getting the puck down low and getting it to the front of the net, as you mentioned. And I think you're seeing that more. Now, obviously, Montreal has their problems, many problems on defense. But that's okay. Sometimes you need a game like that to kind of remind yourself or to reinforce those values and those teaching points. And I think Saturday was definitely good for that. And that's how you score in the playoffs. You're not dangling through guys and scoring off the rush in the playoffs. It's a lot of cycle work. It's a lot of sustained ozone time. I mean, that was one of the emphasis points for Montgomery when he came here, was like, hey, let's have, long time on attacks. We don't have to outshoot everybody. We need quality chances, which is a very valid point. And a lot of good NHL teams have transitioned to that. But you're seeing that now. And I think when the playoffs come around, that's how you're going to get your goals, and last year they had a more talented roster than anybody. And they had a tough time scoring and defending their own zone. But now, I mean, again, I think with defense and goaltending being a strength, you do have to get this down offensively, as I mentioned, kind of down below the dots and low in the zone, which they have done. So I'm curious to see how this kind of progresses. Again, Monday night against the Winnipeg Jets, what a game. I mean, the stars were out for that one. I mean, my God.
Exactly.
It was just,
without a doubt, Evan. I'm sure
unforgettable
the game's
game.
Be fantastic. Yeah.
Unforgettable game. It was... Oh, that. Do you want to do a prediction? I know this will come out after, but do we want to say a prediction? Do we want to do this?
I'm going to do a 3-2 overtime win. I'm going to say, how about Matt Poitras with an overtime goal? Get him rolling a little bit.
I like that idea. I'm going to say the Bruins lose 4-3 in overtime. That's it. I think they're...
Debbie Downer.
I know, Debbie Downer. They're kind of due. So I'll say 4-3 OT loss. But it'll be close. It'll be a good game. So that's my prediction. So you guys can throw egg in my face if this doesn't come true. Hopefully it doesn't. Anyways, Connor, what can the people look forward to from you over at the Globe and Boston.com?
Yeah, you can follow my stuff over at Boston.com and the Globe. We'll have breakdowns, features, game reports, columns, all that good stuff throughout this season. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at ConnorRyan_93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. You Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.